Let's get started on Module 14, Installing VMware vSphere Components, Part 1. There are 4 lessons in this module, but we are just going to do Lesson 1 in this section. In Lesson 1, we will install the ESXi host and install the vSphere client. 3 steps. 1. Download the installation disks from VMware. 2. Install the ESXi host. And 3. Install the vSphere client. We are going to download the installation disks, download the ISOs, and then burn them to DVD to do the install. We'll have 2 installation disks, one for ESXi and one to install the vSphere client. So we go to www.vmware.com/product/vSphere and we select Download Free Trial. We click on Download Free Trial and then we scroll down alphabetically until we find the VMware ESXi update installable. This installs the ESXi host. We click on Download and we select the ISO for the ESXi installable. We click on Download and it downloads the ISO to our workstation. Then we go back for the second disk and we select VMware vCenter Server Update and Modules. We select that and we select the ISO for vCenter and we click on Download Now. So now what we've done is we've downloaded both ISOs. This ISO is for installing a vCenter server and the VMware client, and this ISO is for installing the ESXi host. So that's the one we're going to use first. But first we have to burn the ISOs to DVD. To burn an ISO DVD, you put the DVD in the DV reader and select Burn Disk to Image. And then we will have 2 installation disks, one for installing the ESXi host and one for the client. Now let's install the ESXi host. Take the DVD and put it in the DVD drive for the ESXi host. You might be installing ESXi on a large data center server, or you might be installing it on a smaller server. In fact, most of you will be. The first time you do the install, you'll be installing it on a small test server. But whether it's a large server or a small server, you might want to go to the VMware Compatibility Guide to determine whether or not the hardware is compatible. And to determine whether or not this Dell hardware is compatible, I will select Dell, and then I will do a search, and it'll give a list of all the Dell servers which are compatible with VMware. So I take my DVD, put in the DVD, and boot, just like I'm installing any other piece of operating system. It boots the computer, it boots to the DVD, and it takes me to the standard installer menu. I select ESXi standard installer, and it proceeds to load the files into memory, which are necessary for performing the installation. And now we see Welcome to the ESXi installation. It says you might want to verify that the hardware is compatible, and then press Enter to continue. We press Enter to continue, and it says to accept the licensing agreement. Press F11. We press F11 to accept the licensing agreement, and then we select the hard disk that we're going to perform the installation on. I only have one hard disk, so I will select the one hard disk that I have. I will press Enter. Then I enter the administrator's password. When they say root password, they mean the administrator's password. I enter the administrator's password, and whatever you do, don't forget it, because we're going to need this one for the rest of the course. I click on Enter, and then it proceeds to do the installation, and it copies the files from the install DVD to the hard disk. and then it says installation successfully completed. Take out the DVD and press enter to reboot. I press enter to reboot. It shuts down the server and it reboots and it comes back up and it boots to the ESXi screen. Usually you are going to configure an ESXi host remotely. However, sometimes you will walk up to that ESXi host to configure certain parameters such as IP address. So we will press F2 to customize and configure. That's where we have to type in the administrator's name, which is root, followed by the password, followed by enter. And then we select configure management network, and then we select IP configuration. And then this is where we type in the IP address, and then we type in the subnet mask, and then we type in the default gateway, just like we are configuring TCP/IP on a Windows server. Works the same way. IP address, subnet mask, default gateway. Click enter for OK, and then click on escape. And I'm done configuring my ESXi host. After installing the ESXi host, then I install the vSphere client. You typically do not configure the ESXi host while standing at the ESXi host. You configure the ESXi host from your workstation. So we install the vSphere client on your workstation so you can remotely connect to the ESXi host and create virtual machines. To install the vSphere client, you put the DVD in the DVD drive and you run the install program. This is the second disk that we downloaded from the VMware website. We select VMware vSphere client. The vSphere client application lets you connect to an ESXi host directly or indirectly through vCenter server. We click on install. It extracts the files. We select the language, and it says, welcome to the vSphere client setup wizard. We click on next. The files will be installed to the C drive. We click on next, and then the files are copied down to the workstation, and it says vSphere client successfully installed. We click on finish, and we see that a shortcut has been added to our desktop. If I click on that shortcut, that will bring up the vSphere client. Then I type in the IP address of the ESXi host I want to connect to. I type in the administrator name, which is root, and I type in the password that we configured on the ESXi host. We click on login, and then that should connect us to the ESXi host. And then from here, we could create and configure virtual machines. So in summary, there are 3 steps here. Install the ESXi host on the computer, which is going to be the host. Then install vSphere client on your workstation, and then connect to the ESXi host from the workstation using the vSphere client. This concludes part 1 of Module 4, installing VMware vSphere components. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.